Parents are supposed to feel safe sending their kids to school each day, but it appears one teacher here at Rocky Mount Preparatory School may have violated that trust.
When parents send their kids to school, there's one thing they expect above everything else: safety. Teachers are supposed to be mentors, role models, trusted adults. But in 2017, in a small town in North Carolina, that trust was shattered because one 25-year-old math teacher would soon be arrested and charged with multiple felonies involving her own students. Her name was Erin McAuliffe. And this is a story of how a first year teacher's career collapsed into a criminal investigation. Erin Elizabeth McAuliffe was hired in August 2016. She worked at Rocky Mount Preparatory School, a public charter school in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. She was young, just 25 years old. It was her first year teaching at the school. By all public accounts, she was a regular math teacher, no criminal record, no known disciplinary issues, nothing that suggested what would happen next. But by May 2017, less than a year into her job, everything would unravel. In early May 2017, school administrators were alerted to something disturbing. There were allegations that McAuliffe had inappropriate relationships with students, not rumors, not vague accusations, specific claims involving sexual contact. School officials did what they are legally required to do. They contacted law enforcement, and once police got involved, the situation escalated quickly. Investigators began interviewing students, and what they allegedly uncovered was serious. According to authorities, three male students were involved. Two of them were 17 years old, one was 16. All of them were minors. Now, here's where some people get confused. In North Carolina, the age of consent is 16. So some might ask, why were these felony charges? Because when a teacher is involved, the law changes. Teachers hold authority, power, influence, and under North Carolina law, sexual activity between a teacher and a student is illegal even if the student is above the age of consent. That authority relationship makes it a crime, and in this case, police believe crimes had been committed. In early June 2017, Erin McAuliffe was arrested. She was charged with 3 counts of sexual activity with a student and 1 count of indecent liberties with a minor, all felony charges. She was taken into custody and booked. Her bond was set at $20,000. When she appeared in court, she didn't speak to reporters. She covered her face as cameras recorded her walking inside. Within days, her name was everywhere in local news. A young teacher, multiple students, felony sex charges. It was that kind of case that spreads fast. Authorities stated that the alleged sexual activity happened off school property. That detail matters because it means the incidents didn't happen inside a classroom. However, the relationship between teacher and student still existed. Police reports indicated the investigation included interviews with students and school staff. The exact details of the encounters were not widely released to the public, likely because the victims were minors, but investigators felt there was enough evidence to move forward with criminal charges, and that alone speaks volumes. Rocky Mount Preparatory School confirmed that McAuliffe's last day was May 4th, 2017. Shortly after administrators became aware of the allegations, she was terminated. The school stated they were cooperating fully with law enforcement. For parents, the news was alarming. When misconduct involves multiple students, it raises bigger questions. How long had this been happening? Did anyone suspect anything earlier? Were there warning signs? Those answers were never fully made public. Cases involving teachers and students are treated very seriously. Even if a student appears willing, the law does not view it that way. Because the teacher holds authority, there's an imbalance of power, and the legal system recognizes that imbalance as coercive by nature. That's why these were felony charges, not misdemeanors, felonies. Convictions in cases like this can result in prison time, mandatory sex offender registration, and a permanent criminal record. For a 25-year-old first year teacher, the consequences were life altering. Cases like this often generate strong reactions. Some people immediately condemn the teacher, others question the students' ages and circumstances, but the law is clear. Schools are supposed to be safe environments, and when that trust is broken, the damage goes beyond one classroom. It affects families, communities, and the reputation of the entire school. Unfortunately, this case was not unique. Across the United States, there have been repeated cases involving educators and inappropriate relationships with students. Experts say these situations often begin with boundary violations, private messages, personal conversations, favoritism, and over time, lines get crossed. That's why many districts now emphasize strict policies about communication and professional boundaries because prevention is always better than prosecution. After her arrest, McAuliffe was scheduled to appear in Nash County District Court later that summer. Public reporting at the time focused heavily on the charges and arrest, but like many cases, media attention faded as the legal process moved forward. Regardless of final court outcomes, one thing was certain: her teaching career was over, and her name would now always be tied to this case. At its core, this case is about trust. The trust parents place in educators, the trust students place in adults, and how quickly that trust can be destroyed. Erin McAuliffe went from first year teacher to felony defendant in less than a year. 3 students, 4 felony charges, and the community left asking how it happened. In cases like this, the legal system handles punishment, but the ripple effects last far longer. By the way, guys, if you're wondering, she got a suspended sentence for all of her charges, so she did no prison time at all. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.
Former math teacher accused of having sexual conduct with 3 of her male students went before a judge today. Our Lauren Havlin was in the Nash County to find out if the teacher had anything to say.
I tried to speak with Erin McAuliffe after court this morning. All she had to say was no comment, but what she did is easier to show you. The 25-year-old who is accused of having sexual contact with 3 of her students at Rocky Mount Preparatory School wore sunglasses and held a notebook in front of her face as she walked out of the courtroom. Once outside, McAuliffe quickly got into a vehicle and took off. McAuliffe is charged with 4 felonies and is no longer employed at the school. Police say the incident with 2 17-year-old students and a 16-year-old student occurred off campus. McAuliffe remains out on bond right now, and she will be back in court on June 29th. In Nashville, Lauren Havlin, CBS, North Carolina.
Lauren.